Well, hello there, and welcome to my kitchen table, a place in most homes where we can sit with family and friends and just talk for hours. Let's see where we're off to today. We are off to Swartz Creek in Michigan. Other than telling you the story I'm about to tell, and the fact that it's got 5,500 residents, there isn't a whole lot else to talk about. So let's talk about Michigan instead. Michigan. It's a state in the Great Lakes region of the upper Midwestern United States. It's connected by Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron and Erie to Minnesota and Illinois and the Canadian province of Ontario. With a population of just over 10 million, it is the 10th largest city by population. The 10th largest state by population. And it's the 11th largest by area. Its capital city is Lansing, which is the largest city in Detroit. There you go. Loads of useless information that you'll never ever use. I can think of some things that I learnt at school, actually, that are things like algebra. Why do we get taught algebra? Does anybody ever use it? Oh, well, my son does, because he's a teacher, but he teaches algebra. Oh, God. So if you're ready, take a seat, and I'll tell you a story. It's actually a quite disturbing story, and I would say this is for adults only, so if there are any little ears listening, can you turn your volume down or send them out the room or put your headphones on? Thank you. Kevin Richard Bacon. That is not the Kevin Bacon. It's another one. This one was born on... he was a 25-year-old hairstylist. He was a dreamer, and he was open about his struggles with self-esteem and depression. He didn't hide anything, which is the best way to be honest. Kevin was born on November 28th, 1994, and he grew up in quite a close-knit family with his mum, Pamela, his father, Carl, with a K, and his sister, Jennifer, who was a year older than him. His dad said, "I wanted the same initials as mine, but I didn't want to call him Carl Jr." Now, it would be pretty obvious, especially around the California region of the US, why he wouldn't want to call his kid Carl Jr. For those who don't know, it's a fast food restaurant. I think it is mainly based in California, but it's probably in other states as well. It's just that I lived in California, so I know it's there. So, that's why he didn't want Carl Jr. So, because he wanted the same initials, Kevin made sense to him. He said the other Kevin Bacon wasn't quite as famous as he is now at the time. After graduating from Swartz Creek High School in 2013, Kevin focused on his passion for hair and beauty. He went to Sharp's Hair Academy in Grand Blanc Township and later began his career. He dreamed of being a stylist to the stars and longed for life in the big city. I actually read somewhere that he was planning on moving to Chicago, but I was unable to verify that, so I didn't actually put it in my script, so I don't know why I'm saying it now. I do apologise if I'm wrong. He'd recently started work at Uniquely You Salon and Spa in Swartz Creek, and he planned to attend college at the University of Michigan, Flint, in pursuit of a psychology degree. So he was a thinker, was our Kevin. You've got to be a thinker to do a psychology degree. Friends, co-workers and relatives all describe Kevin as smart, funny, someone who would listen to other people's problems and truly cared. He made people feel better, whether that was by boosting their confidence through beauty or offering support and kindness in friendship. That is a very rare person, not just a rare man, a rare person. His sensitivity went both ways though, sometimes leading to negative thoughts. Friends said Kevin struggled with finances, but don't we all? He struggled with relationships and body self-esteem issues that sometimes overwhelmed him. And it led to self-harm, cutting, and eating disorders, and dangerous, shall we say, liaisons. Kevin had attempted to take his own life about a year before he went missing. That's what his mum told the police. He's actually been admitted to a psychiatric hospital in late November 2019 and was released in early December. His friend and roommate, Michelle Myers, told the police that Kevin had been having casual sex with men he met through dating sites such as Tinder and Grindr for up to 4 years. Looking for love in all the wrong places, as the song goes. I'm going to tell you about a different guy now. Mark Latunski. A 50-year-old former family man. He has a successful career as a chemist. Not a chemist as in a pharmacist, a chemist as in dealing with chemicals. But that was before schizophrenia took over his life, propelling him into a world of mental illness, conspiracies and darkness. It also led to him losing his job. Mark David Latunski grew up on his family farm in Morris, about 25 miles from Swartz Creek. He raised beef cattle to show in competitions as a child, and he was quite successful. But farming wasn't his calling. Latunski excelled in academics, graduating from Morris High School as his class valedictorian. He left his small hometown to attend Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, where he earned a bachelor's degree in chemistry in 1991. From there, he attended Iowa State University and graduated from there with a master's in physical and organic chemistry in 1995. Latunski didn't go far after graduation. He moved home to the wide open fields of Shiawassee County. And if I've said that wrong, I do apologise. And he accepted a job working as a research chemist at nearby Flint Inc. That's ink as in writing ink, not ink as in incorporated. And they are actually manufacturers of commercial printing inks. Young and successful, Latunski remained a bachelor until his early 30s, when his mutual friends set him up for a date with a woman who would actually become his wife. She said, "He was always a little bit awkward, but I liked him a lot." His now ex-wife, Emily Latunski, recalled, "He was very considerate and kind. I fell in love with that side of him. He was very gentle." After dating for about a year, the couple purchased a home on Tyrrell Road in Bennington Township, just outside Morris, and married in 2001. They soon started a family, and by 2003, the first of their 4 children, a son, was born. 3 girls followed on in 2004, 7 and 10. The family, well, the children in particular, raised goats, chickens, ducks and rabbits on 5 acres. Family trips led to Disney World. Or Emily and the children would join Latunski when he travelled to the likes of Kentucky for work, especially Kentucky because there was a dinosaur park there that they liked to visit. Latunski was a busy but very loving father, his ex-wife said. A couple of weeks after their youngest daughter was born, Emily Latunski said something seemed different with her husband. He began saying things that didn't make sense. He believed that he wasn't actually his mother's son, but that he was his mother's brother. And they were hiding that from him because there was some sort of family inheritance that he was going to inherit. But he had to do all the things right. And he had to say all the right things. And he believed that there were people watching him to make sure that he did it. Emily Latunski convinced her husband to seek treatment, which he did to keep her happy. He was prescribed medication, but he stopped taking it almost immediately. This guy goes on a big downward spiral. And you see, when you've got a mental illness and you get given medication by a doctor, they know how to treat your illness. And if they don't, you go to another doctor. And if that treatment includes taking pills, then you take the pills. But what happens is, you see, people take the pills and then they feel better. So they stop taking the pills. Because they don't realise that it's the pills that's actually made them feel better. It's things like an imbalance of serotonin in the brain. They're gases that are up there somewhere. It's only medication can sort that balance out. You can't do it yourself. So people get on that never-ending circular bus ride where they go round and round and round, and they take the pills and they feel better, so they stop taking the pills and they feel worse, so they start taking the pills and they feel better, so they stop taking the pills. Do you see what I mean? If you're suffering from a mental illness and your doctor or psychiatrist or psychologist has given you medication, take it. I do. Around the same time, Mark Latunski admitted he'd been cheating on his wife. He'd been chatting with men online and meeting them for sex. He was always working, Emily Latunski said. And now, looking back, I think, oh gosh, I was so stupid. I should have known. The wife's always the last to know. Mark Latunski's mental health continued to spiral as he accused his wife of being part of a conspiracy run by the overseers of the enormous fictitious trust fund that he was set to receive. Latunski was known to stop taking the medication prescribed to treat his mental health illness. And they were actually prescribed for major depression. It's also called manic depression. Paranoid schizophrenia, depends on where you are, and traits of a personality disorder. Now, he was diagnosed with all that in 2010 and again in 2012, and he was given medication, and he didn't take it. Stints in psychiatric treatment centres twice in 2012 and again in 2013 didn't seem to help. Stints in psychiatric treatment centres twice in 2012 and again in 2013 didn't seem to help. The relationship, already under stress of infidelity and mental illness, collapsed entirely when Mark Latunski reported his wife to Child Protective Services for child neglect. Emily actually said that the accusations were totally made up. She and the children moved out, and Emily Latunski filed for divorce in May 2012. The court, to Emily's shock more than anything, actually granted Mark Latunski unsupervised visits with his children. During one visit in 2013, Mark Latunski failed to return the children at the scheduled time. Being fearful, Emily Latunski actually called the police. Bear in mind, she knew about his mental health issues. The police actually learned that Mark Latunski had taken the children to a water park in Dundee, and he refused to return them. He'd actually taken them to a hotel. Police arrested Mark Latunski, who then faced a felony charge of kidnapping. But the case was dismissed after a court order competency evaluation found him mentally incompetent to stand trial in 2014. Latunski didn't see his children for almost 4 years after that. In 2015, Latunski married again. Only this time he married a man. His name was Jamie Arnold. They actually met online through a dating app. But after a strained marriage, mostly due to Latunski's mental health issues, Arnold separated from Latunski and moved out of the house in September 2019. Single again and still without a job, Mark Latunski needed income. He tried to find odd jobs, working as a handyman and a contractor, but that didn't work out. Instead, Latunski sought work as a male escort, using the alias Olikos Kai Lucas. Latunski's new line of work actually led to a new connection via Grindr, a man by the name of James Carlson from New York. In July 2019, the men began chatting online about cannibalism, a fetish which is on the fringes of BDSM that involves role play and is linked to fantasies of an intimate nature relating to eating people. Oh, come on. Who has fantasies about eating people? That's ridiculous. Does not compute. Does not compute. Does not make sense to me in any way, shape or form. Now I say, like, well, they obviously did. Mind you, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? As my mother would say. I would need to make sure my techniques were perfect, pain-free and bloodless before I kill you. Oh, before I did you, Latunski told Carlson. in a Facebook message sent on July 29th, 2019. I know that if a pig is afraid, the meat is tough and the blood must be let to have tender meat. Bloodletting basically is cutting the throat, letting it drain. Hello. Very stomach churning. Carlson and Latunski actually chatted regularly online from July through to the end of 2019. While Carlson focused on cannibalism as a fantasy, mostly centred on Latunski butchering him, Latunski went beyond provocative online chats. He began working on a secret basement kill room. It had caged, tamper-resistant lights, a 4-inch thick insulated door, and a sliding barn door that hid the entrance. James Carlson actually believed that the secret room was being built for him. Latunski and Kevin Bacon chatted in the days leading up to Christmas using Grindr, which, if you didn't know, is a popular social app for the LGBTQ+ community. On December 23rd, 2019, Kevin logged onto Grindr and noticed the profile of a 50-year-old bearded, shirtless man using the name Oligos Kai Lucas. Oligos is actually a variation of an old Greek word meaning wolf. So his name was actually Wolf Kai Lucas. Kevin tells Latunski that he's interested in being with multiple men, strangers, and being tied up, so he has a complete loss of control. I can make that happen, Latunski responds, and then describes a fetish scenario in which Kevin would be taken, naked and blindfolded, and delivered to men for their use. He said, for the fetish fantasy to be fulfilled, he must induce a flight or fight response. And Kevin says, right, I need to be basically helpless, so I'd feel terrified. The following day, Christmas Eve, Kevin went to work at Uniquely You Salon and Spa. His last clients were special. Fresh hair for my sister and blonde refresh for my mama, he wrote on Facebook. Afterwards, Kevin dropped his mother off at home and logged into Grindr. Latunski tells Kevin he'll be blindfolded and taken to the place where he'll meet 5 men for sex. Once the scene is over, you are returned, Latunski assured. Now, just one question, Kevin says. You are going to keep me safe, right? I will show you how I'm going to transport you and let you determine if I am trustworthy, Latunski wrote. Hopping in the shower and I'll be ready, Kevin replied. While Kevin had spent time with his family and then prepped for what he hoped would be an exciting night, Latunski's focus was elsewhere. According to his internet search history obtained by detectives, he began looking for knives around 7:30 a.m. in between searches for law payment in gold and sexy Navy male stripper. He searched for daggers, butcher, hunting and razor sharp knives, a total of 56 times. Bacon and Latunski met at a shopping plaza on Miller Road in Clayton Township. Latunski later told police that he pulled out some bag of fetish devices, harnesses and restraints. He gave Kevin a minute to decide what he wanted to wear. He said he looked at the Y harness, but it wasn't the right size. He put on earmuffs and blinders because he was going to an auction as part of his fantasy. And he put on the leather wrist and ankle straps. Other than that, Kevin was naked. Latunski gave Kevin 2 blankets. He collected his clothes, his phone, money, cards, other personal items, and locked them in Kevin's car. But before doing so, Kevin had actually asked if he could send a text to his friend. Michelle Myers told the police that she received the text at 6:12 p.m. on Christmas Eve. And it said, "I'm going to be out for a while actually. This is going to be fun. He's invited more men. Merry Dickmas. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Probably will be out late. So if Mom calls, I'm sleeping. Haha." Latunski's purpose-built secret room is where Kevin Bacon actually found himself within hours of meeting at the Dollar General. There were no men waiting for him at Latunski's house to fulfill Kevin's fantasy. But Latunski actually role-played as if they were there. Bear in mind, Kevin was blindfolded, didn't have a clue. Kevin remained blindfolded during the fetish play. It began in the kitchen, where Latunski pretended to auction Kevin off. Then they moved to the basement. Latunski told police he didn't know how long the sex portion of the night had lasted, but when it was over, Kevin said he wanted Latunski to kill him. "We made an agreement," Latunski told police. "He was supposed to disappear, be gone. God only knows how he was going to make that happen. But anyway." Latunski walked upstairs and grabbed a Gerber brand hunting knife with a 4 3/4 inch fixed blade he'd purchased at Walmart a few hours earlier. Kevin said, "I'm ready," according to Latunski's police interview. Latunski first stabbed Kevin in the back of the neck, and then he cut his throat. And then, of course, it was a matter of doing what I needed to do to complete what I told him that I would do. Turn him into something that would produce life, he said. Latunski tied ropes to Kevin's ankles, fed them through pulleys, and used bodybuilding weights to suspend him in the air. Latunski cut Kevin's testicles out of his scrotum and then cooked them in an iron skillet. At 2:15 a.m. on Christmas morning. Latunski texted Carlson, remember the guy from New York that he was before Kevin, and he admitted his crime. I've killed Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is my heros, Latunski said. And the message was accompanied by a photo of food cooking in a skillet. Heros is a term assigned to a cannibal's victim. If Carlson believed Latunski killed and cooked a portion of a person, he didn't give it much acknowledgement. He said, I hope you enjoy them. Then changed the subject. Can I see more pics of my room? Kevin didn't show up at his parents' house at 9 a.m. for breakfast on Christmas morning. They were immediately worried and began searching. By late afternoon, they discovered his car, parked and locked at the shopping plaza. Something was off. His belongings, his belongings, including his cell phone, were in a grocery bag in the back seat. They reported Kevin missing, and over the next few days distributed flyers. And with the help of Kevin's friend and roommate Michelle Myers, a search was organised. Police were pointed to Kevin's online activity and Christmas Eve date. Myers was able to log into Bacon's Grindr account, and she shared it with detectives. She'd also received a tip via social media, and the tip, it said, I have an idea. There's a guy routinely on this app. He keeps having guys escape from his basement. The cops keep not pressing charges because the guys who escape admit that they went in there consensually. The tipster sent a screenshot of a profile picture, and it was Latunski, and the police knew him. 2 men had actually previously escaped from Latunski's home, and both of them had called 911. They'd gone there for intimate encounters, but ran away. One of them was Carlson. He dialed 911. He said, help, I'm from New York. I'm here on business and decided to meet with a local man. I've just run away from him and now he's chasing me. A frantic Carlson told the 911 dispatcher. That was after he ran away from Latunski's home on October the 10th, 2019. He said, he had me tied up in the basement. The police report said that Carlson was uncooperative. After re-evaluating the situation, he said he believed it was a form of sexual foreplay and not a case of false imprisonment. So what did he run away for? A second man escaped Latunski's house, called 911 on November the 25th. I'm trying to get away from some creepy guy, he said. He ran to a neighbour's home wearing only Latunski's leather kilt and nothing else. The police actually tracked him and went to pick him up to help the guy out, you know what I mean, as they'd done with the previous one. But this one, too, also didn't want to press charges. So Latunski was now considered a suspect in Kevin's disappearance, and authorities arrived at his home on December 27th, 2019. And he identified himself as Edgar Thomas Hill. But police knew who he was. Police found what appeared to be a secret room behind a sliding barn door. One officer said, "I looked into the room to the right and observed that the room appeared to be approximately 12 feet long and had a wooden floor stained a brown colour, similar to a deck." They found Kevin Bacon inside. On December the 24th, 2019, Kevin Bacon thought he was going to have a fun evening of casual sex with an experienced older man. This is what the county prosecutor, Scott Corner, said in court. They had sex, and then Kevin was murdered. His death shocked the community and totally shattered his family. His victims actually include more than just Kevin. It's also his family and friends. Because of Latunski, we got a divorce, Kevin's mother said. We just couldn't move past it. Kevin's sister, Jennifer, in her statement read at Latunski's sentencing, called her brother her guardian angel. She said, "I will always miss Kevin, because he was my only sibling and we shared a deep love for each other. The things that I will miss most about Kevin are his beautiful smile, his generous heart, and he was my best friend." Carl Bacon's voice shook when a reporter asked him about saying goodbye to his son after the funeral. He said, "My only thought was going back to the day that he was born. That's the only thing I could think of, looking at him in my hands. I was the second person to hold him after his mother. Just holding him in my hands is the only thing I could think of. Now, that's no longer. Evil does exist," his father said. "It touched us." His boss at work said, "Kevin only worked at my salon for about a week before he was murdered." This guy's name is Andrew Payne. He was the one who hired him. "From the small amount of time that we spent together, you could feel how deep and empathetic he was. He was very candid about his battles with depression. Like I said before, he was very open. He didn't try and hide anything. And he said, we connected over our shared issues. He was truly kind." Latunski's children also have to live with his legacy. "My son didn't want to wear his varsity jacket at a college event because it had his last name on it," Emily Latunski said. She reminds her children that mental illness changed their father. It doesn't change the love he had for them, though. This is not who their dad was. He absolutely loved them. The person he was then would be horrified by the person he is now. And I make sure that they know it's okay to still love him, because that's who they knew. He was their dad. Latunski never denied killing Kevin, but he defended his actions with claims that Kevin wanted to die. That's something prosecutors, family, friends, and Latunski's sentencing judge all rejected it. I have a hard time believing Kevin would enter into a suicide pact with anyone, his dad said. He was planning to go back to school in January. He'd just started a new job, and so things were starting to look up for him. And the situation that put him in hospital last November, he'd put that behind him. Mark Latunski was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on December the 15th, 2022. He now lives at the Gus Harrison Correctional Facility in Adrian, Michigan, a prison that offers mental health programs. We actually have secure hospitals here in the UK. We've only got 3, but 3's enough for the criminally insane. But at least he's got into a prison with mental health programs. Maybe they'll get him to take his medication. Thank you so much for allowing me to tell you this story, and thank you so much for listening. If you found it interesting, please hit the thumbs up sign and consider subscribing. It's free to do, so don't hold back. And remember this: all the statistics in the world can't measure the warmth of a smile. I've been Sue, TTFN.